Hi, this is Dan here. I hope you're doing well today. In this lesson, I'm going to show you this chord chart and a few reasons why I think this is one of the most brilliant things you can do for your bass playing. Learn how to read a chord chart. Now, this is from an upcoming blues course I'm right in the middle of filming now, and I just wanted to choose this one. You need to know about rhythm. You need to know what these chord symbols mean, and they're basically arpeggios. You need to know how to play them all around the neck, where the notes are, how to create a good bass line out of that, what the key is, where your notes are, loads of really cool things. So I'm going to take you through that. First things first, 6/8. That's a time signature, and the top line tells you how many beats in a bar, so 6, and the bottom number tells you what type of beat, so that's eighth notes. 6 eighth notes per bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Listen to the backing track. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can be counting in 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. First things first. Let's just treat this as a note learning exercise. I'll play a couple of lines. I'm just going to play the root note of each chord, the letter. I'm going to not worry about anything after the letter. Second bar is F sharp. You do have to worry about that. So D, F sharp, B, and so on. So in my head I'm thinking this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That funny symbol there is something you'll often see in chart reading. It just means to play the previous bar. So instead of writing another B minor 7, you can just write that symbol and it plays. You play another B minor 7. Next line. We have 2 chords in one bar there. So that's 1, 2, 3 on the A minor, so just A, and the D. And do you see how I'm just going automatically to the note? I have just off camera here my iPad on a stand and my hand is here and I know where the notes are. So first of all, you need to know where the notes are, preferably without even looking too much at your bass. So I'll carry on. In a minute, I'm going to explain these chord symbols to you, and you'll know why I played an A just now. That would be pretty much the simplest bass line that you can possibly do. If I just rejoin the backing track wherever it is. And so on, that actually sounds okay, doesn't it? I'm just following the chord symbols, or just the root note really, and playing along to the backing track, and it kind of sounds okay. But what do we do to make it much, much better than that? We need to know the key, and we need to know what these chord symbols mean. I'm going to go through this now. Now, I don't have any PDF downloads or backing track downloads for this particular lesson, because when my course comes out, you can just, if you're interested, have a look at that. And I have a theory course also that goes through all of these shapes, but we have a D. So when you see a letter, a note name, without anything after it, it just means D major. So there are Ds all over the bass. And I'm playing a D major arpeggio. Chord tones refer to the notes within an arpeggio. The overall key of this piece of music is D major. All of these things are important and matter, because if you take the first, third, and fifth of that scale, you get a major triad. That's what that is, just D. If you put the octave in, you get a arpeggio. If you put the 7th in, you get a major 7th. They're all options, really. So now, actually, if I do keep things fairly simple, I've got a D, a major 3rd, and a 5th. Maybe I'll just use those notes in the next pass. I'll just use the root and the 3rd and the 5th of the chord. Let's whiz through them. F sharp with, or any note with a 7 after it and nothing else, is a dominant 7th chord. So we need to play that arpeggio. And again, it's the case of, where's an F sharp? I can play 2 really quickly. Now do I know the pattern? It's another major triad. Notice exactly the same pattern. Just watch my fingers here. It's 2, 1, and 4 in that configuration. So on the D and on the F sharp, that would work. I'll come back to 7ths in a minute. Let's just keep it super simple. B little m7. Now that is now a minor 7 chord. These are all different qualities. So far we've had a major, we've had a dominant 7th, and now we have a minor 7th. 3 different qualities of chord. So you need to know the triad for that. We'll stay triad now. This is a minor one, so it's different from the major. We have B here. On the 5th fret is D. Stacking these in thirds, so B, C sharp, D, and then we have the 5th, F sharp. This pattern here, 1, 4, 3. You can also play the D open string. And here. Broadly speaking, I think you want to know any of these triads starting on your first finger, second finger, little finger. That way, wherever you are on the fretboard, you can just play. You don't have to always go to that one pattern you know. So anyway, we have a B minor triad. Second line, D, F sharp, B minor. Now we have an A minor 7. If you know where the notes are on the fretboard really well, you can get there quickly and apply the correct triad. D7, so that was a major triad. G, just G major, so it's again, it's that major triad. Different software notates things differently, and I think this is iReal Pro that I made this from. And for diminished, they use this little circle. That's very common. Otherwise, you might see DIM. Unfortunately, no one standardized it, so B minor 7 can also be B min 7, that's fairly obvious, or B minus sign 7, okay? So this one is diminished, and that's what that is. We have a root note, G sharp this time. We have a flat third, and a minor third away from that. We have a flat 5. Okay, this is a strange one. This is like a fraction. I always think of it like that. 1 over 2 would be the numerator on the top, the denominator down below. I think that's right. And so I think of this D over A. A is what you as the bass player play. Anything on the right-hand side of that slash, it's called a slash chord, you play. So that's actually a D major triad, except with an A in the bass. So D major triad. You might see that we have D, F sharp, and A in that D major triad. This is what's called an inversion. So it's when you play a triad, or chord, but you don't play the root note as the lowest note. You play either the major third, which would be called the first inversion. You play that as the beginning note. Or you play the 5th as the beginning note, and it's a second inversion. I realise everything I just said is quite a mouthful and quite a lot to take in. This is sort of a, sort of demo introduction lesson. If you want to dive deeper, I've got other lessons and that theory course. Anyway, that's what I would play. I would start on an A and then continue that D triad. C7 is C dominant 7th. That's a major triad. B triad, major triad. E minor 7. You can play it here. A major triad. D major triad. Another weird one here. A plus, sometimes it's AUG, augmented, refers to an augmented triad. We've got all the triads here. We've got the major one, the minor one, the diminished one, and the augmented one. Those are your 4 basic triads. 1 is a major third followed by a minor third. That's a major triad. A minor triad, is a minor third followed by a major third. A diminished triad is a minor third followed by a minor third. And an augmented triad, this one, is a major third followed by a major third. Triads are all about thirds, different types of them. That plus refers to the 5. It's an augmented or raised. That's what augmented means, to raise something. So now I'll go through the whole thing. And again, it's not going to sound very musical, but I'm going to just play triads and nothing else over each of these chords. Like I said, not very musical, doesn't sound like a great bass line, but they fit, and it's crucial to know. And I did a little bit of jumping around just to demonstrate that fact. You just look at a chord chart, and all you have to do is get to the note that it tells you to and play the correct triad or arpeggio that it tells you to. So 2 skills: to know the fretboard really well and to know the triads really well. Okay, these are absolutely crucial things for all bass players to know. That's why I think this chord chart practice is fantastic. You can find loads. I mean, iReal Pro is a good one, actually. It's got loads of pre-existing charts. I think it might have backing tracks on it as well. And that's a great one to use to practice. Tom Player is another great one that's got charts and chords and backing tracks and things. Right, now I'm going to go through sort of a next layer of it, really. So we just did triads. Now I'm going to do the full arpeggio. So D. It's just the triad with an octave or 7th on it. Okay, so D is that one. F sharp dominant 7 or F sharp 7. So we have the major triad. And that flat 7 completes the picture. That's a dominant 7th arpeggio. To be clear, just because it says that, it doesn't mean that in your bass line you have to play all of those voices within the chord or the arpeggio. You don't, they're just choices. B minor 7, D major, let's do F sharp 7 up here, B minor 7 again. I mean, here we don't have time because we have 2 chords in 1 bar. We don't really have time to play everything. But here's an A minor 7. I'll play it this way. D7. It's a 2, 5. 1. G is the 1. A minor 7. D7. Notice that is exactly the same pattern as the F sharp 7. Exactly the same. That's what I'm saying about making sure you know your patterns. G. And that's the same as the D. So G, G sharp diminished, D over A, C7, B7, E minor 7. You can use this as arpeggio practice. A7. I'm not playing it in 6/8. D, A augmented. So let's pass through that, and this won't sound musical. The next time I play hopefully will. And I'll just do less actually, but for now, arpeggios over all the chords. quite a good exercise, that. Play along to a backing track and just try to shoehorn everything in. Right, so root notes are great. Triads give us more options. Seventh chords give us even more options. But still, that's all just theory. What about crafting that into a bass line? Well, this is my final point about why chart reading is absolutely a great thing for you to learn. And you might get this on a recording session. Like if you're a professional musician, you'll see chord charts all the time. You might be on a gig, never met anyone, and you'll be given a chart. And you can play a completely brilliant song by doing that because you know how to interpret it. And this is the point here. You understand enough different styles of music to know roughly what to play. So if you had a chart and it was like reggae, you could get your way through it by knowing how to play a bit of reggae. You're forced to maybe, before the gig, listen to as many different styles as possible just to get some kind of a handle on what you play in different styles, okay? So I've been reading chord charts for decades now, and I've been listening to different styles. So if you get into the habit of doing this, you will be forced to do that. I'll play now, and then I'll probably explain to you what I'm doing in terms of linking up some of these chords. That's one thing I haven't told you. So let me play first, and then I'll tell you. So not much, a lot less than I was doing before. Things like that. Don't forget we're in the key of D. So we're using all these theory ideas to make up a bass line. I can stitch together the line using notes from the key. That's kind of chord tones. That's the relative minor of D, B minor. It's too much, but it can be an option. The major third is next door to B. That's a nice one to use in that transition. Otherwise, it's lots of root notes with little rhythmic things like this. Always tapping my foot in this example, two taps per bar, 1, 2, splitting up each beat into 3 to get my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can apply these principles to absolutely any chart. If it's a fast rock thing, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably you're using a lot of 8s, but for this is what we're thinking about. A lot of that kind of thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Little note on the last 8th. Chromatic leading into the chord. So we're going, is the E minor 7. I will probably do more lessons like this with chord charts. Please do let me know in the comments below if you want me to. Just recording that blues course, it struck me that, well, this whole week is governed with that, and I haven't recorded my weekly lesson. I thought that would be a good idea. And I think there's just so many useful skills within that. And if you could learn that, you would definitely make yourself a better musician. There's no doubt about that. So if you do want me to do more lessons like this on chord charts in different styles, then do let me know. If you're watching this in the future, my blues course is out now. I have my theory course, which gives you the shapes of all of these arpeggios all across the bass. You need to master them. When you do, stuff like this becomes quite a lot easier. Thanks very much for watching. If you have any questions, do let me know. I'll see you next time.